welcome to the Key to All of This. I'm your host, Tim. And with me as ever is my co-host, Dylan. And today we'll be discussing the possibility of a dark side Luke Skywalker. And so we say a possibility, but really it's the
possible reality.
Avoidance. Yeah, avoidance of it in the past. Yeah.
Well, originally, one of the scripts that George Lucas had written of Return of the Jedi was Luke defeating Vader, putting on the helmet and saying, "Now I am Vader." And, oh my, would that have been the one thing to grab fans to be like, where is episode 7?
Yes, I mean, that would have completely justified a new trilogy, you know?
Yeah.
And you get the sense that, like, you know, Obi Wan and Yoda are like only fight, you know, for defense, never for attack. And to see like Luke in episode 6 getting really close to the dark side, you know, before he like stares at his hand like he just ate a weird brownie, and realizing that this will only lead to further destruction of himself, you know. His father's missing hand, his hand that's actually missing, and robotic as well, and Solo. That, you know, he does get to the brink of it. And this idea is that he just goes off the ledge.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see that.
Oh, me too.
Wouldn't that have been amazing?
Yeah, one of the things that we're kind of taught in the Star Wars universe is, you know, search your feelings. And, you know, anger and hate and all that stuff leads to the dark side. And you look at Empire Strikes Back, where Luke is training on Dagobah, and he fights an evil version of himself, and he, you know, destroys the mask, and it's a mask covering himself in Vader's armor. And Yoda even says, like, you're not done training, like, you're not ready for this. And then essentially kills his father. So what a perfect ending to that than to have been overcome by the dark side because of all this stuff that you neglected that people constantly told you along the way are going to lead you to the dark side.
Yes. It's a very similar way to, like, you know, Lord of the Rings sets up the power of the ring to corrupt. And come Mount Doom time, different than Mountain Time.
Yeah, it's like 3 hours.
3 hours before
ahead Eastern.
Carry the 4. Yeah, so it's sets up this temptation. It sets up the corruption, and then it pays off because Frodo ultimately gets turned. He puts on the ring. You know, it's a resistance that is futile because the temptation is too great. And so I feel like it would just be awesome to see, like, how do they resolve this? How do Luke and Leia fight against him, but also try to, you know, get him back to the light side?
Yeah, because you see that with Kylo Ren. I think one of the best characters that we got from 7, 8, 9 is this conflicted person who ultimately wants to be bad, and he fights his urges of being good to become a bad person. Because of this buildup of what his grandfather was versus who his uncle is. And in all of this, like, I think I love Kylo Ren. I think he's probably the most interesting character that Star Wars has created. But I would give up Kylo Ren for a conflicted Luke Skywalker.
Yes. A Luke Skywalker who thinks he can, like, remake the Empire to help out his friends, but probably is just as ruthless in that way, you know.
Yeah.
I would have loved to seen him fill those Kylo Ren boots and cowl. I think it would have been amazing. I mean, I get it. I get the idea of, like, showing self-restraint at the very end, you know, sacrificing himself, you know, as a way to prevent his turn from the dark side and to potentially save his father.
Yeah.
I get it, but it's also, God, what a twist that would have been.
Yeah. I mean, if you were planning for an episode 7, that's how you would have done it. You would have ended it with a conflicted Luke, not a huge celebration of people playing drums on a stormtrooper's head and that kind of
playing
thing.
them like coconuts.
Yeah, and that's I think that's just a compelling story that we could have gotten, which I think we did get. I think with Kylo Ren, his whole thing could have been, obviously he's a different character from Luke, but I think the Kylo Ren story with Rey could have been Luke and Leia, of Leia / Rey want Luke / Kylo to come back to the good side. And I could see that. And 7, 8, and 9 could have been Luke being like, I need to finish what my father started.
Mm-hmm.
And Luke's against Leia through the whole thing. And then it gets to the end where Luke is truly defeating the Sith with his sister Leia. And he redeems himself and he's back to Luke Skywalker. He's no longer Darth Vader 2 or whatever he becomes. But this is his moment of like, that's when Luke Skywalker dies. He brought balance to the Force,
mm-hmm.
not his nephew. But I think that's like what an amazing idea that George Lucas originally had, and I think we could have seen a lot of similarities between our 7, 8, and 9 that we got versus what our 7, 8, and 9 would have been.
I also think that like having Luke go up, say, against the Emperor in Episode 9, using the dark side of the Force and the light side,
mm-hmm.
becoming that like, there's light and dark in the universe, and it's like by becoming like the epitome of that, he's neither good nor bad. He's kind of like above the fray in that respect. Like, I think that would have been amazing to see him become like a great Jedi. At the last minute, where he teaches both sides of the Force, and it's not
mm-hmm.
kind of like a religion on either side. It's just like, this is the way of the universe,
Yeah, for sure. And also, so this is something I wanted to ask you. So let's say Luke became, Vader 2.
Mm-hmm.
With what we know now with Star Wars, let's say 7, 8, and 9 don't exist, but we still get our Clone Wars, we still get our Rebels, we still get Fallen Order and everything. How much would you have loved 7, 8, and 9 being Ahsoka, Grogu, Ezra, Cal Kestis, all against this new Vader, this new dark Luke, someone who did snap in
mm-hmm.
Before Episode 7 to kill Ben, but like, how great would that have been?
It would have been amazing to see people trying to reason with an already good character to not be evil. Like they don't fully understand, like, his trajectory, his good side qualities.
Yeah.
And like to get a sense of like how the closeness that the dark side is to like addiction. It's like it just takes one little push,
mm-hmm.
and like these, being susceptible to it probably goes down different generations,
mm-hmm.
And so really trying to fight him, but also realizing that like it's kind of futile, like they need to like find a different way in, different way to like reach him.
Yeah, I feel like if we got for 7, 8, 9, I mean, this probably would have been 1999, 2002, 2005, like we got with movies, but
mm-hmm.
that would have been a fight of Luke and Leia to the death, and that would have been the end to our Skywalker saga. And yes, of course, at that point, George Lucas probably would have gone back and done 1, 2, and 3, and we would have gotten probably something similar, which
mm-hmm.
makes sense. I mean, even with what I'm saying now, 1, 2, and 3 still fits in there. And it's just I think a dark Luke would have been I think that's probably what Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams probably were trying to go for, the brother sister light and dark fight. But instead of using Luke and Leia, they went with Ben and Rey, who mean nothing to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Positive Star Wars podcast. I love those movies, but I think it would have hit harder with a Luke and Leia, a dark Luke and a light Leia, and I think that's. But that all comes down to Return of the Jedi being with, now I am Vader.
Yeah, it really hinges on that, and also I feel like having Leia try to learn the ways of the Force in order to be remotely as good as Luke sets up this monumental task, and puts her in a place where she doesn't even want to fight Luke, and she's not even equipped to fight Luke, but she has to overcome both of those deficits in order to even remotely stand a chance against him.
Yeah, and the way that Star Wars works is it's a full circle. So Leia is now trying to save Luke.
Yes.
The person who saved her in Episode 4. Like, Star Wars, perfect circle, beginning and end. What a great way to do that. And I
it
wish
would have been
that's
amazing.
something we could have gotten.
Yeah. Same here, man. Same here.
So, with a dark Luke saying, now I am Vader, any other thoughts from you?
Just now I am Vader. It's like Michael Scott declaring bankruptcy. I just wish I could go into the middle of, a well-populated area and say, now I'm Vader, and it become true. No, I think we covered all the bases. I feel like we really kind of missed out on what would have been an amazing and captivating and kind of unique.
Yeah.
I don't think any storytelling could have ever happened before could ever match that twist. So I think we really missed out. But
yeah, I feel like sequels back then weren't a thing, and Star Wars is something that lets you know, like, look, a sequel is going to happen, and we all kind of know it, and be ready for it. But this is the first time where you're really like, if this is how it played out, you're really stuck. Like, well, I have to watch the next one. On its own, A New Hope stands, but then we get Empire Strikes Back, and Empire Strikes Back ends with, was Han Solo dead or what? Or, wait, that's Luke's dad? You have to watch the next one. And you know what? Then Luke kills Vader. And then Luke says, now I am Vader? Now I gotta watch the next one. And it's like,
yes.
I think that they probably went the easy route of just being like, great, I got to make my 3 movies, and these are solid. But wow, like, they were the first people to really build, both George Lucas and the whole Star Wars crew, first people to really build, like, yo, another one's coming. And then for it to be 4, 5, and 6, like, why need 1, 2, 3? So I feel like 6 ended with, we're not going anywhere with this.
Yes, all the conflict has been resolved. Like, End of Empire, it resolves a lot of conflict, but leaves more conflict to be resolved by the next episode. And for episode 6, they're just like, this is it,
Yeah.
They did it, let's all celebrate, and didn't really leave any like twist or our heroes in a place where one of them's vulnerable, or it just was like perfectly tied up. So it's just one of those things where this would have really opened you would have seen episodes 7, 8, 9 faster than episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah. That's the end of this episode, and everyone, please let us know, like, what do you think would happen if there was a dark Luke? What do you think of what Tim and I were saying about this? If you enjoyed the video, please like it. Please subscribe. We do these almost every week. Sometimes we take a little break if Tim's getting married or I'm getting married. Also, I'm moving, and that's a little bit of a process. But join us next time, where Tim and I speculate on what is going to happen in the new Rogue Squadron movie by Patty Jenkins.
Good old PJ. Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about that. And this has been the key to all of this. I'm your host, Tim, and this is Dylan. And may the force be with you.
And also with you.
Aw, thanks.
You're welcome.